The Project. Kuwait. Learn. Live.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, I was waiting on you. So, yeah.
He's always waiting on me.
We sat down with Reece Dunn, breath expert, so to speak. But we didn't really talk about breath. We talked about it for the first 15 minutes, and then we really got into some deep stuff.
Yeah, so this one is definitely for you guys who are looking to try and take control of your body, to get a better understanding of what's going on inside your body, and then actually get a better performance because of that.
And take control of your life, too. I mean, we talked a lot about the flow state and what it means to get into that flow state and what you're capable of when you get into that hyper-focused state. And, you know, we gave out a couple of good resources. The Rise of Superman was a book that we talked about. So it's a great episode in terms of finding that.
Yeah, exactly. If you're looking for that extra, like 1, 5, 10% out of your training, then this one's for you.
And we talk about the dark place, but, you know, that goes into just being that state of flow. So,
yeah.
Guys, enjoy this episode. I think it's epic. The information we get from Reece is just on a different level in terms of elite training, really.
Definitely. It's that, as I said, it's that extra percentage that you know you're going to get a lot from your training. Everyone will benefit from this.
Definitely. And if you get more oxygen to the brain, you're better off.
Yeah. So, if you keep breathing as well, guys. Keep breathing, please.
So enjoy, guys.
All this and more in today's episode.
We got Reece Dunn in the house. Breath expert, movement expert, panorama.
Pranayama.
Panorama. I know, right? Yeah, give it to the half American, half Kuwaiti over here to pronounce that, right? But, so, dude, obviously you were a coach at one of the local gyms here for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in Kuwait. You kind of got those local roots built up. Been here for a while.
Yes.
A lot of people know you. I've seen you through your journey of going through movement and now into the breath work, which I think is phenomenal. I got to try some of that yesterday.
Yes.
So why don't you talk a little bit about, your background, man?
So, background, I began as a coach. I'm from London originally. And background, I began being an athlete in calisthenics and freestyle calisthenics. So it's big, huge moves on the bar, crazy flips and spinning and throwing yourself around, and super bad protracted posture comes with that.
Yeah.
And I met Meg.
Yeah.
Awesome, Megan. She showed me the movement community. So that I branched off into that for a bit. After that, I realized all of my clients, they're older and stiffer and we have tension in our body. Realized it for myself. How am I supposed to breathe in these movements? So I said, look, when I teach a child, they can learn it immediately. They have no trauma, they have no tension, they have no mental barriers. When I incorporate the breath work, people loosen up. So I started to incorporate this within my own training, within my clients, and immediately the effects change. For me, breath work is a thing where the gap between the mind-body connection that so many people struggle with actually connecting is bridged immediately. So this is why I do breath work. This is why I incorporate it. We cannot build tension with tension. We must know how to relax first and then build tension upon it.
I tried it yesterday firsthand.
Yes.
And I was telling Liam before the episode started, I was like, this is some woo-woo stuff. It's a little crazy. And he laughed at me. He was like, yeah, dude, you were saying that before. And now that you tried it, you're all game about it. I was like, yeah. I was like, I literally felt, I don't even know how to explain the feeling. It was like this elevated feeling, relaxed, no tension. My mind was at ease. It lasted for about an hour or two, but it was great, dude. I mean, so what can you give us some of the background on the physiological changes that happen when you actually do breath work and you're getting oxygen into the brain and through the blood and all that stuff?
Yes. Physiological changes. Firstly, it's all biochemistry, right? So any thought that we have can basically hit our hormonal centers immediately. Each thought is linked to a hormone. So for example, if we feel anger or if we feel aggression, we may hit our adrenaline centers and they'll secrete some hormones, and that has an effect on our physiology, right? Now, we have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is where we go into a fight or flight state. Fight or flight is high stress. So a lot of people live in that high stress place. And it's interesting because when I've been to places like Asia to Africa, it shows in a culture whether they are in a parasympathetic state or in a sympathetic state. When I go to the US, when I go to the UK, everyone you can tell by their posture that they are under stress. When I go to Africa, when I go to Asia, you can tell by their posture, they know how to downregulate. So in terms of the physiology of things, when it comes to breathing, everything is to do with the spine. It's all energy, it's all electricity, everything has a charge on this. Everything that we see has a charge, electrical charge. And there's something called cerebral spinal fluid. What is that? It is made up of proteins, it is made up of salts, and it's made up of solutions. When you drop proteins and salts into solution, it has an electromagnetic charge. This is just flowing up and down our spine constantly. And when we breathe, we move this fluid up and down. And this creates a better connection between our mind and body. So when we're moving it up and we're accelerating the rate in which it moves up and down our spine from each inhale and exhale, then we start to create different hormones in our brain. So there's a gland in the body called the pineal gland. It's in the woo-woo yoga culture, it's like the big third eye. You're going to get awakened off this, but really anyone can access. It's just a gland that emits hormones. When we're happy, serotonin comes out, dopamine comes out. But when it's time to go to sleep and everything goes dark, then melatonin comes out. So I want to ask you, how yesterday did you feel after the breath work? After we had done, for example, 30 breaths, we hit the Wim Hof method yesterday, which is 30 breaths hard as you can, focusing on hyper-oxygenating the blood. After we hyper-oxygenated, what was the mental state you were in?
Like directly after it, it was almost this enlightened high feeling. Or like this, I don't know, like I just felt like everything had been elevated. Like, it just felt good, to be honest with you. It felt like I was de-stressed. I was hyper-focused. I heard an owl, like when we were doing it, like there was an owl about, probably 600, 700 meters away. And it was just, I was so hyper-focused on that sound, where I could clear everything out into one sound. It was a very weird state, to be honest with you. Like it was a very interesting state of mind that I got into. And it carried out throughout most of the day up until, I got to the gym and got ready to, do my workout and whatever.
Yeah.
Because then, the stress set back in and all that stuff. But before that, like I was in a great mood. It was amazing. Like it really had this profound effect on just, I don't even know how to describe it. Hypersensitivity, yeah, to different things.
Yes.
And for me, it was sound, in all honesty.
Sound, yeah?
Yeah, it was definitely sound.
Yeah, sound's powerful, man. In terms of when you say sound, you expressing sound or you hearing it?
Hearing sound.
Okay,
hearing
yes.
sound. Like I was hearing like sounds very vividly, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. That was what you were feeling is the serotonin release. As soon as we get like I said, the acceleration of the fluids up in here, starts to secrete serotonin, starts to secrete dopamine, which is the happy hormone. Serotonin's a happy hormone, but dopamine's like the step up. It's like, why does everyone love chocolate? Dopamine. Why does everyone love sugar? Dopamine. The breath can access these same chemicals. Our body already secretes all of these chemicals, and we're just provoking it to secrete them with different substances that we use.
So we're kind of manipulating it at the right times, because we can activate it instead of having to go and get a bar of chocolate from the gas station, whatever.
Exactly.
It's like going, okay, like we can just actually probably sit in our car for a second, just control our breathing, get that same high. And that same focus, I guess. Because I mean, like same as Mahdi was saying about his experience, like when I looked into Wim Hof method quite a lot, I use it when I'm like in the ice bath, for example.
Yes.
And I've said it before on the show, like when I go from the ice bath, then I come out and I feel like I'm walking on a cloud. Like I walk it on a cloud, like then to the jacuzzi, sit in the jacuzzi. And I almost think I'm like going under the water because I'm so relaxed.
So chill, yes.
And I'm just completely owning my own thoughts. Like my thoughts aren't running away from me. They're like, there's nothing outside of the room that I'm in. Like I'm just like, actually everything kind of slows down a little bit and just becomes a little bit more manageable.
Yes.
So like you're actually controlling your thoughts almost at the same rate that you're breathing.
Yes.
And I guess you can even find that when you come into that stress environment, back into the gym and things like that, again, you kind of start thinking of like, okay, I've got to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And like the faster you think, the faster you start breathing and you're not even moving any quicker.
Yeah.
And again, the breathing is like, if people take an inside look at their own breathing when they're in different states, they can see like they can actually, that the breathing controls their state.
Yes.
And their state controls their breathing as well. So if you can take hold of one thing, which is their breathing in this case, then actually we can start to control how we feel about certain different situations and different emotions, right?
100%. This is exactly why I love to work with different athletes, right? Because being an athlete, being a top-level athlete, I get people that do free diving, I get people that do gymnastics, CrossFit, it doesn't matter. As a high-level athlete, we need to control the mind, the mental state. And that's what the breath helps with. Getting ourselves into that, like you were saying, that focused in place to perform well. If we're going to use it to really excel, and it doesn't have to be performance as an athlete, this can be performance in your work. This can be performance in your hobby or your creativity. But just to get that flow state that they all talk about, this is how you become elite at whatever you want to be, is the flow state. Breath work takes you there, like you said. Breath controls the emotions control the breath.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like when I think back to the last couple of years, when I've done good in playing sports, especially baseball, it's one thing I can relate to, and because it's you step into a batter's box, so there is brief seconds or there is a waiting period before like the pitch or whatever, or like the ball comes to you, and when I started taking deep breaths, it calms you down. You know, a lot of like the seasoned athletes will say, just take a deep breath, calm down, bring it down. Now, when someone's going into that type of a situation, all right, what is something short they could do to bring things back down to a level of calm? Instead of you don't have time to take 30 breaths. So what could they do within those, 5 to 10 seconds to kind of just get back to a state of calm?
Yes. Respiration as a whole is always depending upon how well we understand our own CO2, our own carbon. So when we inhale, oxygen. When we exhale, the waste product is CO2. So in those 5 to 10 seconds, the best thing to do is a prolonged exhale. Just a lot of people you'll see before they get there, they do this and they push it all off, and that's good, but there's no control on it. It needs to be a soft, and then you're in the present moment. A natural inhale will flow.
When I was looking into Wim Hof method a lot more before, it was actually when I was competing about 2 years ago, and I was in Cypress. And it was before like quite a high stress workout for me.
Nice.
And it was basically a speed clean ladder.
Okay.
So it was like the fastest time to do 5 cleans, heavier bars. There's some fairly decent athletes there, some guys who have gone to the CrossFit Games and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, like this is my jam. Like I know that I need to perform well at this. And something that hit me really hard before was that actually like Wim Hof's way of like holding your breath. Like I think it was like for 30 seconds to a minute, however long you can do it comfortably for. And then just breathing out very slowly, as you said. And then just starting to like control your breathing in almost like a box breathing pattern. So it's like maybe 10 seconds in or 10 counts in, because that 10 seconds or 10 counts could be like 20, 30 seconds, depending on how comfortable you are with that count.
Yes.
And that was something that like was crazy for me, because I was thinking, obviously, like everyone's screaming and everything like that. And I had my noise cancelling headphones on. You can see everyone going crazy. You can see the heats going before you.
Yes.
And like I was kind of staring at it, just like watching the clock on the wall, actually like with my heart rate like, super slow. And I was so focused, but it's kind of counterintuitive. So like it's kind of against the way that you'd think that you should be before that. Because I'm thinking like usually before I was thinking, okay, I got to get my heart rate up. I got to be going. I need to be flying. Whereas actually I was finding I need to control my central nervous system, and control it and let it explode at the right point. And so, I actually held my breath for like a long period of time. I think I got up to like 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, which even for me before, like I don't do a lot of breathing exercises. So like holding your breath for that long is actually quite hard. Like even you see like the free divers, they're like 3 to 6, 7 minutes, something like that. Like it's like
records like 9 or 10 minutes.
Like it's like crazy times. Like and even if you try to hold your breath, like in the UK you have this thing of like holding your breath when you go through a tunnel. So it's like a weird thing that we do. Like as a kid, like you're like hold your breath.
It's time. Go on to like the Queenie 2 bridge.
It's funny. We all understand that. The majority of the people that might listen to this probably got it.
Like as a kid, we used to be like parents used to be like, hold your breath, and you'd like 10 seconds, you're like, then you died.
What was the excuse they gave you? Well, mine was like, you don't want to breathe in the fumes. And then my sister finally let out, she's like, no, we just wanted everybody to shut up.
Probably that's probably but it's just like that kind of thing. You got to think of like how long you can actually hold your breath for, and kind of involuntarily, without practice, it's quite hard to hold it for longer than a minute. But then when we get to like over a minute, you actually then start to feel like control.
Yes.
And you're like, okay. And then again, coming back to that competition, I was like, okay. And then as soon as I took my noise cancelling headphones off, as soon as I stayed in that kind of state of calm.
Yes.
And I'd walk onto the competition floor. And like everyone's kind of like looking at everyone else, like kind of everyone's nervous. And I just looked at my judge, like went, "Hey man, how's it going?" And like high-fived him. I was like so calm.
You had your head in the game.
So
really,
ready to go, yeah. And it's like that 10-second countdown then, especially for CrossFit, when you have that 10-second countdown, it's kind of good.
Yeah.
Because like as soon as they say, okay, 10 seconds, then you can start getting into the zone.
Amp yourself up.
Yeah, and almost like when you hear like, it's again, we have it in CrossFit, but like kind of that 3, 2, 1 beep, like it's like boop, boop, like on the clock.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of use that and like it like gets your heart starts getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And then like when it gets to 0, it's like boom, go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like and like that was actually something, again, I thought it was super counterintuitive to like actually how people think they should be. They think they should be ramping up. I mean, we talked about it before, the flare competition, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like controlling your central nervous system, not listening to like too crazy music or anything like half an hour before.
Yeah.
Because in 30 minutes time, you're going to need that energy.
You're
like,
need that energy.
Like, take it back a second.
Yes.
I listen to a lot of like Ludovico and Audi, like piano music, like when I'm warming up, like just chilling, like making sure that I'm getting the right exercises to prime my body.
Yes.
But still controlling my breathing. And like that was the big thing that I found was a massive, massive help for actually controlling my breathing and then actually getting a better performance out of it, out of being calm instead of being like hyped up.
Yes.
But it's experience too. I mean, in all honesty, like I think a lot of what you're talking about, it comes with experience of doing that and doing the comps and doing all that. Because from my perspective, all the sports that I've played, the more I've played it, the more I've understood how to get into that state of calm and just kind of have that calm mind. Like, I mean, hitting a baseball, dude, it's tough. All right. Hitting a 90-mile-an-hour ball is pretty damn hard. So if your body is not relaxed enough to get your hands quick enough, if you're tense, like how quick are you when you're tense versus
when you're
quickness when you're relaxed?
You're
super quick.
And if you take that into your weightlifting,
I know, right, dude?
It's gonna be crazy.
I know. My coach, I was doing 19.4 yesterday. My coach was looking at me like, "Oh man, this is so bad." I was literally just picking the bar up, doing like a forearm curl, and then pressing it overhead. And I'm supposed to be doing a snatch.
But you had a perfect point, though. It's like I genuinely said it perfectly. Like, how quick can you move when you're tense?
When you're tense,
like, you can't.
You can't. You really can't.
You see the slow motion of the guys running 100 meters. They come out the blocks, and then they're like. They're not even that tense when they come out the blocks.
No.
Everything is relaxed and fast. And you see their jaw is relaxed. It's just
relaxed.
Like going up and down.
The cheeks are flapping around everywhere.
Like you see, like there's usually like that's the Jamaicans anyway. Like there's a white guy on the end who's like,
stiff. His shoulders are up here.
But that's you see the big difference between the guys who come first and the guys who come eighth.
Yes.
And like actually there's a
Their
difference in the physiology, like the way they look, their posture, how tight they are, because that's what gives you like the extra half a second or like 10th of a second.
Yes.
And that's kind of, and when we're training, if we can get that extra 10th second, even when we're thinking about sprinting, or that extra even 10%, 5%, whatever it is, out of each training session, you get that one training session every single time that you train, maybe could be 365 times in a year, and you've got like a significant extra percentage in your training on every year, just from being more calm, relaxed, and faster.
All I was thinking is, when I see athletes, right, and I see them training, like you said about the relaxed face, the first thing for me when I teach people is just let the face chill. If you can even smile when you are training, then you know you're in control.
Yeah.
But if you're making pain face, then it probably means your airway's blocked.
Yeah.
Because you're making pain face. I saw one awesome thing, caught a video of you doing, I feel it was a snatch the other day, and before you did the snatch, I haven't seen this before, but you opened your jaw as wide as you could, like you open. And I said, yo, that is an awesome technique there, because I want to know more about what that does.
Man, I just do that automatically. Like.
Man,
but I find it takes in, like, I take a big breath in, and I find I don't, if I take if I purse my lips and take a small breath, I don't feel like I'm like as strong. I feel like it like opens my shoulders up. But it is something that I automatically just start to do, and people like say that's like the goldfish bowl face, but like I can't lift heavy without doing it. I don't know why. I mean, it's just something that I do automatically.
I like it. I'm going to start using it.
I'm going to patent it as like my technique now.
Yeah, it's done. Jaw snatch one time.
Yeah. No, that's not a bad. That's not a bad thing. I mean, that's your way of getting into a state of flow.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and you brought that up a little while ago, and I read a book, The Rise of Superman by Stephen Cutler, and he talks about Danny Wang. He was a skateboarder, and he talks about a couple of snowboarders. Because when you're doing things like that, and you have to make these split-second decisions, these calculations and whatever, even for you, when you're throwing a barbell up that weighs friggin', 400 pounds, like, dude, you're doing a lot of math, a lot of physics, a lot of things that we don't even really think about. So it takes a lot to get into a state of flow. And you mentioned something yesterday, the chi. All right.
The chi, yes.
Yeah. So and that has to do a lot with the flow state also.
Exactly.
And so can you talk a little bit about that too? Like I think we're going more towards the elite athlete level in this conversation. So, and you have a lot of people that are aspiring to become elite athletes. So how can you harness that chi and get into like that mental state of flow?
Yes.
Can I just preface that just real quickly? I think it's really important that people understand it's not so much like an elite athlete so much as like an elite mindset.
Yes.
So like it's again like because you're very right. It's like saying okay, these are kind of I guess more advanced techniques, but if people were able to apply them as early on in their training as possible,
even at work,
if you think of like stockbrokers or whatever like that, if they controlled their breathing more, they'd probably perform a lot better.
You get into a state of flow. It's like if I'm working on a presentation, if I'm stressed and I got people coming in my office, I can't do it. But if I get into that state of flow where it's like, all right, now I can jam, and get my work done, especially with number crunching. It's like, all right, you get into this hyper like friggin' focus.
Yes. So it's like more of like
it translates to everybody.
Elite performance mindset. Like
elite performance mindset. Yes. Not just in movement, athletics, but just all around. Period.
Yeah.
If you want to perform, this is what you need to do.
Yeah. And because it's something that's so easy, everyone can breathe.
Everyone can breathe.
Like everyone who's listening to the show can breathe.
You can breathe, guys. You can breathe.
Like news for you, you can breathe.
You've been breathing. We're gonna teach you how to utilize it.
Please don't stop.
Please don't stop breathing. That's the thing that I try to tell people, man. Which is, look, how long can you go without eating food before you die?
10 days. 10 days. I think food's 10 days, right? 7 or 10 days.
Yeah, I think so.
Water's more important. Water's more important,
right?
but you can go like 7 or 10 days, I think.
Food is about 21 days, right? Water is about...
it's 21 days?
Yes.
Oof, I don't really want to do that.
Yeah, it's not advised, guys. It's not advised. But it's possible. 21 days.
And water is how much?
3 to 5.
3 to 5.
Now, look, tell me, before you die, how long can you go without air?
Yeah, for me, like 1.5 minutes.
1.5 minutes. It's
30 seconds.
It's not much, right?
It says 8 to 21 days.
8 to 21 days.
8 to 21 days.
Depending on the person.
You get depending on the person.
What guru level they're on.
Yeah.
You have to check.
How controlled.
Yeah.
How much they can breathe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I got 8 to 21 days. So
nice.
Mahatma Gandhi survived 20. Gandhi went 21 days. Okay.
That's a fair.
I'm not putting myself in the same. I'm not going to the same level of Gandhi.
I think you're going to be 8. We're going to be 8. Yeah.
It'll be like 5 before I hit somebody and like
5.
Lash out.
Wait, I like 1 day and I'm like, oof.
Dude, I wouldn't want to be around you an hour if you're hungry.
Hangry level 3000.
Yeah, Gandhi's probably right up there. I think he's probably fairly in control of his shit. Like,
I know, right?
I don't know how we're going to get to 21.
Yes.
But we're saying how breathing is so important.
Yes.
And actually people are doing it so often.
Yes. So we can utilize it.
Yeah, and it's very easy for even like the starting out athlete or the starting out performance like achiever to be able to take control of. And as we said, if we can take control of even 1 to 5% of our training session and a little bit more, and we times that over the amount of sessions we have in a year, it's huge performance gains.
Yeah.
And actually the likelihood of becoming an elite athlete in a shorter period of time is much higher.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Now I have a question, okay?
Should we have the question before? Because we had the cheat
question.
The cheat question, yes, my bad.
Don't forget it.
I don't want to lose this
What
one.
did you want to know? What did you want to know about the chi? That's really...
Where was I with the chi?
Man, we lost the chi.
But
Did I just tell you what chi is?
Oh, no, yeah. How do we get into that state of flow? That state of finding that the chi that supports... Because there's different chis for different things, right?
There's different chis. No,
I think so. I mean,
let me just explain.
I'm not an expert.
Chi is a basic concept, right?
Yep. But you have like the Kwai Chi and the something else. And I'm definitely...
Reece, you explain it.
Yes.
We gotta...
The the Kwai Chi.
Yeah.
Google that. Google Kwai Chi. It won't come up.
Does that not exist?
No.
Okay.
So look, Qi as a basic concept. Qi is from Chinese philosophy, ancient Chinese philosophy. Prana is from ancient Indian philosophy. They are the same thing. What do we call Qi and Prana? We call it energy. We call it life force. We call it the breath, air, the things that sustain life and keep things going. So Qi has to move in a flow. You can even look at it like an electrical current. If there's blocks in the current doesn't move as well. And we have an electrical current as well. Qi is very simple and easy. Yesterday, we did this awesome exercise that I just got Mahdi to rub his hands together as hard as he could and create heat. And within 1 minute, I just see the excitement on Mahdi's face, like, my hands are tingling. Ah! I feel, you know, like, it really like Dragon Ball Z Goku level. This is where Mahdi was.
See, we gotta get him to do this.
Yeah,
I don't think he believes half the crap I'm saying.
No, I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to do it. Definitely, I'm excited to do it.
So Qi is a basic concept. It's energy, but it's feeling it move in our body. And the one thing for me that it helped me so much with is my creativity, with my imagination. Why do I say that? As adults, we don't really nourish our creative side as much. Some people do. Some people don't get to as much because of their lifestyle. For me, I love breathing so much because the act of moving Qi is the basic concept of where the mind goes, the energy flows. So if I imagine that I want the energy to move into my finger right now, I just breathe and draw a line from here to here. And what does that really mean? I just do this. And it may look very, very simple and silly, but this concept can wire through your whole body. It can wire through the center of your body. And when I use it on my athletes, they can picture what they are doing better because they understand, okay, so if I draw a line from here, there's no block in between. For example, if we look at it from a like trauma and emotional stress, some people hold emotional stress in their chest. You'll see some of your clients, and you may say to them, breathe. And every time they breathe, they get stuck here. Stuck means tension. So once that tension is released, then the current can flow. What does that mean? When you're getting them to do an overhead and they hit that overhead and they drop down into the squat and you say chest open, they know they can draw a line through their body and say, okay, I have the awareness, that mind-muscle connection to say, here are my hips, here is my chest, here is my neck, here is my head. And not saying, here is my hips, I'm blocked in my chest, I'm going to ignore it. Here is my neck, here is my head. So imagination is key with the Qi.
So it's kind of like being able to understand through your brain about the whole nervous system within your body and understanding actually almost like proprioception. So without being able to actually see what's moving, you know, with it, you say, for example, you had your eyes closed, you know where your hands are in relation to the rest of your body in a much kind of better way, I guess. Like, so you know, like actually if how many fingers you're holding up and everything like this, but very easily because you can feel that with your muscles. But actually like where your hands are, if your hands are behind the back or anything like this, like then
proprioception.
Yeah.
And even how many fingers you have. There's a really simple exercise I do with everyone in the beginning, which is tap. Because some people can't do this.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle with this in the beginning. When you play piano, you're good at this. You were saying about the piano music, it chills you out.
Yeah.
This, the more you can do this, we have, imagine if we just look at the physiology of our hands.
We're all literally
I can't wait to put this on.
Can you do it when you're looking at me?
No, I can't.
Exactly.
You lost that.
I can't do it. I can't do it with my left hand. I'm good with my right.
So at the moment, for the listeners, we're literally all at the moment just tapping our fingers to our thumbs, like and going back and forth.
Yes, and trying not to look at our
having a little bit of trouble going back and forth, but it's cool. I'm like double tapping like my middle finger a little bit, but before I move on. So does that mean I have more connection to that finger?
That's exactly what it means.
Like that one more. I don't know. Fair enough.
I keep missing fingers with my left hand.
Whichever one you feel whichever one you feel that is heavier. And whichever one you feel is lighter and whichever one you feel is flimsy, notice that. And then the connection starts to build. These are intrinsic muscles we have. So they play with feeling. They play with receiving information for our brain.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you say that. I had a PT with a kid earlier. his homework was literally take a ball and just throw it hand to hand.
Yes.
Just understand the hand movement and then get to the point where you can look forward and you're not even looking at the ball going hand to hand, just teaching yourself how to feel the ball.
Yes.
So it's an interesting concept because I was just doing that earlier, and doing this with my right hand, super simple.
Yes.
Doing it with my left hand, I keep missing these two fingers on my thumb.
Yeah.
So is it just building up that connection or reconnecting to this part of my body?
Man, you do that for 10 minutes, you'll get it. It's one of these things where just keeping the connection, like you said. What does Meg always say? She says movement is information. And it doesn't have to be movement is me aching the next day. Just movement is information. I can know my body more by just exploring.
So just by practicing, by actually moving, we're receiving more information.
Yes.
And if we're also probably more important in this region, if we're not moving, then we're not receiving information.
Then we're not receiving information.
Even if it's just like an athlete might do only 1 hour of training session, very intense a day, but then 23 hours they're sat down. So then 23 hours they're not receiving information.
They're not receiving any information.
So they're actually struggling then for their next session. They're not going to actually receive more and more information.
Yes.
So like we say about trying to walk as much and still, even if you're an elite athlete, like you're performing very, very highly in the gym for an hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it is, still moving around still feeling what's going on is always good.
Feeling the environment.
There's actually, I've seen a few studies from where this is the reason they have PlayStations and stuff like that in people's, so elite athletes will be able to relax a little bit more, but while still receiving information. They're actually rather than getting them to, they want them to sit down and relax, a couple of hours of the day, but they say, okay, look, play PlayStation, do whatever, even if it's brain games on your phone or something like that. They're still actually moving neurons and everything like that, and actually moving their fingers and still receiving information, still processing information. Because their brain is it does need to relax, but it can relax in a kind of game format.
Yeah. It can, for me, I don't see that movement is always continuing, whether we see it or not. Even if we're sitting right now and you try to be as still as you can, the one thing that will continue is your breath. If you're sleeping and someone is out cold, the breath will still continue. So to stimulate ourselves and movement always begins with the breath. We don't have to be doing anything crazy to still be receiving information. It's almost like that information is like a self-realization. Every piece of information is like, so I'm tapping. And what if I do this and I explore and I say, look, I'm still tapping. And when I go here and I put my arms and I externally rotate, I feel issues happening. Okay, well then what does that mean? Let me try and figure that out. It's like a puzzle. And each area of movement in our body, we can play with that. And I've seen lots, especially in the movement community, Meg will laugh at this, right? You see people move and they're moving and they're like, you see their face change. Because they've just received some information and they're feeling, okay, this circle sucks. Yeah. This circle that I'm doing sucks really bad. I can hit this 90, this one is no way. And you see the self-realization on the person's face. And it's like, okay, they're inside their body. They're not outside observing the environment, but they're inside feeling the environment. It's an interesting thing to see and explore.
So tell me more about the movement community. For us who are in personal training, fitness industry, everything like that, it's isn't everyone in the movement community because everyone's moving?
Yes.
But is that just kind of the official kind of terminology for the guys who are trying to get more well-versed with what's going on inside their body and teach others about it? Is that how you describe it?
I see the movement community as a subculture of the fitness industry. So everyone in the fitness industry moves. But I see the movement community specifically as a subculture because the intention is to be mobile, to be supple. That is the hard intention, and to move in different patterns as well. I would say every new sport that you go into, we have to create a different map, a different mindset to go into it. For example, if we're going into CrossFit, my mindset is different than when I'm training calisthenics, and it's different than when I'm training baseball. So in the movement, it's a lot to do with either opening, expanding, and compressing, because these are the basic forms of everything we see is expanding and compressing, or it's growing and then hibernating. It's always an opposite, right? So the movement community like to have that mindset going on so that they can continue to open their body and know how to close their body and bend and twist, and then it gets more complex from there. So in terms of subculture, or in terms of what is the movement community, I feel it's practicing tools to understand how each joint works as a unit. And I feel this intention is, depending on who is teaching, can be the same across all the fitness industry, but depending on who is teaching.
Okay. And is there any difference from that to like inside that? Does animal flow come into that? Is that within that side? Like and what's the difference between animal flow and like any other kind of movement?
I was just going to ask between that and calisthenics. I'm glad we were on the same page with that, dude, because I was going to ask you animal flow and calisthenics, because I see calisthenics, you know, I mean, I'm going to get killed for this one, but as parlor tricks.
As what trick?
Parlor tricks.
What's that?
Like, you know, just like circus tricks, you know.
Okay, yes. I've never heard that word before.
Yeah, so I mean, like, that's how I view calisthenics. Liam's like shaking his head, like, oh, dude, really, Mahdi? But animal flow, but animal flow to me is a lot different. Okay, I see animal flow as it's a higher level than calisthenics and other gym sports, because you're learning how to move and getting certain movement patterns. But I mean, what do you think of that? So
CO2 release.
Yeah. You don't have to. We can stay away from the controversial stuff. I already dug myself into a hole. So
to be honest, like I see, everyone has their own philosophy when they're training, from CrossFit, from animal movement, from calisthenics. So I see it as, what is the person who is teaching intention? Intention is a big thing for me. It helps me get everything that I want. And when I say that meaning what I want to attract into my life. I put good intention out. I receive what I want from that. Now, when it comes into animal movement I feel is awesome because it's functional. But it's not functional in a linear fashion. It's functional in a flowy, wave, spirally fashion. There's functional training that we see in the fitness industry, but it's very boxy. It's very square in terms of the patterns are very square. And in nature, there's no squares. That's not a shape that comes up. So when you see, for example, a plant that grows out of the ground, right? Even if in the end you see that it has a straight stem, it never grew straight up, grew this way. The planet is not square, it's round.
Yeah, and even when things grow, like they grow towards the sun usually, and then actually when the sun moves, like they move as well, like even by small amounts.
Like a wave, like a sway.
No, I get
so
that.
Linear patterns, I see animal movement as a way to take the body out of linear patterns. And we're in a square room right now. So this immediately has an effect on our mental state because we are seeing one pattern. And that pattern is an unnatural pattern. When someone goes outside and they breathe in the fresh air, they feel happy because...
Man, why didn't you put circles on the wall instead?
Why you put down circles?
Man, if I knew that, I would have built my house in a circle, dude.
In a circle. Different shape.
If you'd done that and you had circles in here, I'd be like...
why is this guy's house shaped like a ball?
This is a bit trippy, man. Creative, though.
But it does make sense. And when you talk about going outside, I mean, even in the summertime, yeah, it's hot as hell in Kuwait. But just going outside and just being out there, just getting out of a box.
Yes.
You know, when you're in a box, you're gonna feel boxed in. That makes sense.
Boxed in, yeah.
You know, so getting outside, it just makes a world of difference.
Yes.
And that's why, like, my grandma would be like, just go outside. Mm-hmm. You just get outside. Get outside.
Did your grandma do animal flow?
She probably did.
Yeah.
Dude, my American grandmother, she used to climb trees and crap. She was crazy up until the age of like 60. Yeah, dude. Like she'd go up, cut branches down and everything. So
strong.
She was game, dude. She was definitely game.
Strong.
But now animal flow, can you go into that a little bit more? I mean, because some people think of a duck walk. You know, you'll see that in gyms mostly, or a bear crawl. Mm-hmm. And you see that as part of like a warm up for, you know, CrossFit or whatever it is, or whatever functional movement thing's going on. So talk about animal flow and animal flow training. Is there an animal flow training? Is there a specific field for it?
A specific field. Animal flow, I feel, is because it's not linear, because it's not in a linear fashion, it's more to do with principles than it is to do with this is how you do it. That's probably the first thing I'll say. Everyone's body is different, like we know. So it's not so much as linear as you have to do it this way and these are the rules for it. It's just these are the principles. Go play. Explore your body. Explore how this joint feels. When you feel pain, like Megan says all the time, pain is information. Our body telling us, it can be telling us anything. It can be saying, okay, we need to start moving in a different way around this joint. we need to start relaxing ourselves at the opposing ball and socket joint of this hinge joint, for example. A lot of people get knee pain, elbow pain, tendonitis. Elbow only has two functions. Shoulder is a ball and socket. Wrist is a ball and socket. So the issue is probably not happening here, even though the pain is here. So the information that we take from that is going to help us in animal movement to flow around where the pain is, wherever that may be or whatever it may feel like. So
people don't really like that idea, though, do they?
No,
because they don't really like the idea of it not being a linear fashion. Because I mean, especially in this region, you get a lot of people go, "Okay, I have this problem. I want you to fix it. When's it going to be fixed by?" Like, and it's like that. It has to happen in a straight line. Like it's not. Like, and if, once they go, well, actually, it might be because of this. It might be because of this, and it's probably because of a number, like 3 or 4 different reasons. And I'm like, okay, but like, how do I fix it?
How do you fix it? Yeah.
Okay, well, you're gonna for 3 or 4 different things, you're gonna have to like
they just want to
you're gonna have to do 3 or 4 different things, and they're like, okay, but like, what exactly do I have to do? Like, can you write it down for me? And like, well, yeah. I also know because actually, like, it's going to take a whole load of different things and a different mindset and all this.
Mindset.
Like, people like to be told, okay, what are the rules of the game that I'm playing, and like, how do I win?
Yes, how do you
win? But that goes back to education here. Like, education here is very much memorized, do as.
It's the same in the UK, but like, this is just like everywhere. Yeah. So like, but I'm saying just within the fitness industry, for sure, it's here.
People want that straight line.
But yeah, people just want to know. Okay, like I want to lose 6.8 kilos, and like, how long is it going to take me? Like, okay, well, like as soon as you start the simplest rule in fitness, like it's like, okay, muscle weighs more than fat, and then as soon as you tell people that, like actually their weight might not go down, but they're going to look better, they're like mind blown. They're like, no, that's too much.
Yeah,
like there's too many variables there.
I don't really have to. I'm not stepping on the scales anymore. This is going to be weird.
So like, it's like actually when I guess it's like when people come out of that, the animal flow is quite hard for a lot of people to get into because they have to really release their mind and like think in a non-linear fashion.
Yes,
they have to think in a way that's not like, okay, I get up in the morning, I go to work, and then I come home, and then I have a nap, and then I go to the gym, and then I come home, then I eat, and I go to sleep.
Yes.
It's like, actually, you need to almost put like 30 minutes in there to just play, as you said. Like, and it's actually like, play is like something that doesn't exist here, like at all. Like, even from pretty much from like, I see when people leave primary school, like play is like obliterated. It's gone. Because there's no playing outside. There's no, like, as you said, just like go, like your grandma go outside.
Yeah.
And like going and knocking on your friend's door and be like, can you come out? And like sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. Even that is an element of play.
Yeah, this is play.
It's like
you got to get there and know in your head when you get to your friend's house that, look, they may not answer.
Yeah. Like, it's not like, like,
it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, let me send them a text.
It's not fun. It's not fun.
Like, this is the thing. It's no fun. There's no like door knocking and then running away. There's no like, there's no like actually
ditch and stuff.
So like the best thing is like coming up to try and play football and you like go, actually, it's not my ball. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not my
like, you'll have to go ask the guy whose ball it is. You know what I mean? Like, there's no like, what if something doesn't happen? Like, everyone is messaging ahead to like make sure everyone's booking in to do this, booking in to do that.
That's true, man.
Like, not flowing with it. Not flowing with it at all.
There's no flexibility to people's lives at the moment. And I guess animal flow is like the like physical representation of flexibility in people's lives.
Yes.
And like people are averse to getting into that. More people, I think, are getting to that. They're understanding that they want to do it. But I think even in personal trainers and people who are well in the fitness industry, those are the only people who I see moving towards it.
Yes.
Because they see it as and coming back to like a full circle to your point about the difference between calisthenics and like animal flow and things. I see like calisthenics as like a sport, a skill. And like animal flow for me is more like a fundamental movement pattern to help you with everything else.
Yes.
Because I was looking, this is a problem I had with like animal flow and like spinal waves and everything. I was trying to find a resource to actually like learn it. And it's very hard to do because it is that element of just going, okay, well, just go do it.
Yeah.
Like, and actually, like, you'll find the way that your body moves and you'll find where those blocks are and things. But like, you have to be able to like be open to finding or be able
receiving that information.
Yeah, receiving the information. There's not really any information.
It's not like, well, it's a different language, isn't it? Like the body.
We lose the language.
Body,
as adults, we lose it. I mean, look at kids, dude. Like yesterday, I taught DJ how to climb a tree, and he picked it up in like 5 seconds. He was like, all right, analyze the tree, find out where you're going to put your feet. And he figured it out. You know, the strength wasn't really there. And then I went to do it afterwards, and it was like, it was a struggle, man. It was like, it was too mechanical. Whereas he was just like, all right, you know, I'll do this, I'll try this. And it's like, we lose
like they
that.
just see the next step, and like then that's it. Like whereas you're kind of looking, you're going, what if I fall? What if this happens? Like
dude,
what if I break my arm? What if I can't go to work the next day? And like all this linear stuff of like what happens.
That mental stress when we get older, the fear element, right?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Something new. And in the movement culture, one big thing is expressing yourself. Just express it, whatever it is. This is why I like the big jaw snatch, because it's like, I'm going to go lift this big weight. Let me express that it's going to be the biggest weight that I'm going to lift today. And just one time. Because if we express, then we can let it flow. Linear sucks, man. Linear sucks.
Like yesterday in the middle of the workout, I think it was when I was on my burpees at the end. Like I was like 20 seconds and I was like going to like a bat out of hell. And there was that like number 6. I was like, just breathe it. Breathe through it. Get some deep breaths. And it helped. And that was from our conversation earlier in the morning, just to breathe and get that breath in. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I felt like I was going to black out at the end of it, but it was
to the end.
I got to the end I've never gone through burpees as hard as I went through yesterday. Like it was just like
powerful.
I've never done that. I've never gone that hard. And it was finding that dark place that a lot of CrossFitters talk about.
What dark place?
It's like
I've heard Rob say it before.
It's like
Rob goes intense with the dark place.
I think it's like this place where you just don't give a crap. It's like
when he's training, he has to figure out that yes, I need to control not just my breath, not just my body, but I need to control the visual information I'm receiving. I need to control the sound. And when you see a sprinter come out of the blocks, if he is more hypersensitive to sound, to sight, when he's in that set and the go comes, he's going to react to the go quicker.
So it's his like the beginning of the gunshot rather than the end of the gunshot.
Exactly. And reacting to the end of it. Hypersensitivity for an athlete is key. To be hypersensitive, like you said, to that 10, 9, 8, that countdown, and you hear the beep, beep.
Yeah.
To know, okay, it's time to amp myself up. I've been saving all this energy. And when the time goes, I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference.
Makes a huge difference.
So I think this is probably for me, like you've managed to verbalize it a lot better than I could to any of my athletes, but this is kind of the thing that I try to get with them, like with the 10, 9, 8, 7, things like that, and the different ways of competition, entering that flow state, the state of control.
Yes.
But yeah, you've managed to verbalize it a hell of a lot better than I could. But
respect.
Yeah, it makes a massive, massive difference. And I think this is the big difference that separates a lot of amateur athletes, like kind of like, say, the Battle of the East level.
Oh, yeah,
like,
without a doubt.
Their ability to, you see the guys who played sport before.
Okay,
because they can control themselves.
They can control.
And you can see the guys who have only just been doing CrossFit, or CrossFit is their only sport maybe for 1 or 2 years.
Okay,
or even less.
Rushing.
Yeah.
Like they rush through to like try and like complete everything all at the same time. Whereas like that other guy is just like controlling and moving, and he knows whether he's like revving up or going down. He knows if he's going too fast or too slow.
Yes,
and like he's calm.
He's okay with what he's doing at the time.
Yeah,
we go get there.
Exactly. I mean, I was watching Rob go through his workout. It looked like he wasn't even trying. And I tell the kids that I coach a lot. Don't try too hard. Just relax. And then when you relax, it's going to be a lot easier. And sure enough, when they relax, they do a hell of a lot better versus when they're tense and they're trying too hard. And even myself, I still make this mistake where, I showed you the video earlier. Liam saw. Did I show you the video of me snatching?
No.
I'll show you that.
Demonstrated it to me.
So, and I wasn't relaxed. And even you could see it in my eyes. It's friggin'.
You said relax muscles are fast muscles.
Yeah.
Like, counterintuitive to what we might think. Relaxed muscles are fast muscles, and they're still strong.
They really are.
And they're
still very strong.
It's like a band, like a tension from the band where it would just recoil.
Yeah.
There's no actual need to be tense for more than the amount of time you need that tension for.
Yeah. If you're nervous about the movement, though, I think that's what really builds up the tension. I think
if you're nervous about the movement. What do you mean by that?
Like if I'm doing snatches, I'm freaking out because I suck at snatches.
Okay.
Whereas if I was good at snatching and I've been doing it for years like you, then I could do it like, throwing up a featherweight, so to speak.
Would you say that's under the pressure of time and competition that you would get nervous about snatching than if you were just training, or?
Yeah, I'd say that, and just the fact that I kind of suck at it.
Well, I think that's where when we come back to what we said at the beginning, like the movement blocks. I think people get more stressed about the blocking their own movement rather than necessarily like even the complexity of the movement.
Yeah.
So say a snatch is like one of the most technical movements maybe like the body can do, like with heavy weight. If they can do it, no problem. But if they're worried about their breathing or their chest, or they think their shoulder is more tight than actually necessarily is, then that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're actually going to move in a slightly different way.
Yes.
And so then actually like the ability to relax, control the breathing and control the body then actually makes you better at the movement that you thought that you were bad at.
Yeah.
There we go.
Physiology.
Damn, this episode, yeah, dude. Yeah. There we go, dude.
Bullets everywhere.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Shoot, this episode took a hell of a turn, dude.
Like, for sure, like, I need to come and do some stuff with you, for sure.
We've got to make it happen, man.
We definitely need to make it happen.
It's like, freaking awesome. I want to do some more work,
because I've done similar stuff before, but I think haven't been able to be taken through it would be a huge thing. So,
definitely.
I mean, man, and you've also got to come back on the show so we can talk about it. So,
I'm down, man.
Yeah,
I'm down.
For definite. So,
it's been fun. It's been fun.
Thank you very much.
Dude.
Thank you very much,
buddy.
Good work.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed it, please head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. You can also find us on Instagram at The Project Kuwait. Thank you, and join us next time.